So, I want you to picture your neighborhood for a second. Just visualize it in your head.
Right, like the streets, the houses.
Yeah, exactly. You've got the physical stuff, maybe a park if you're lucky. But I want you to try to visualize the invisible stuff.
The invisible stuff.
Yeah, like the connections between people, the trust, the happiness.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a lot harder to visualize.
Right. Because usually it's just not there. Or if it is, it's totally accidental. You got lucky and you have a cool neighbor.
You happen to share a fence with someone nice.
Exactly. But what if you could engineer that invisible stuff just as easily as you pour a concrete sidewalk?
That is quite the premise.
And I don't mean just hoping people get along. I mean designing the social, the economic, the emotional framework of a town to actually guarantee well-being.
It sounds almost like a sci-fi premise, doesn't it? But this is actually the core question behind the stack of documents we are doing a deep dive into today.
Yeah, and it's fascinating.
We're looking at a proposal for something called Alam Happy Town, or AHT.
Alam Happy Town. It sounds, I don't know, deceptively simple, like a children's book or something.
It really does.
But when I started reading Dr. Syed Aftab Alam's proposal, I realized this is some heavy, heavy lifting. This isn't just a blueprint for a nice subdivision.
No, not at all. He explicitly calls it a new model of human settlement.
A new model of human settlement.
Yeah.
Which is a huge claim. So what exactly are we looking at here for our sources today?
We've got a really comprehensive stack. It includes Dr. Alam's academic manuscripts, a proposal for establishing a Department of Happiness at universities, electoral model analysis,
and the specific implementation roadmaps too, right?
Yes, specifically targeting North America and Canada in particular for the launch.
Okay, so to understand why he's proposing this massive overhaul, you really have to understand the problem he's trying to solve.
Context is everything here.
Right. He's not talking about fixing a pothole. He's talking about what he calls the polycrisis.
Which is this idea that everything is breaking down at once.
Exactly. We have housing that costs 10 times an average salary. We have this massive epidemic of loneliness, social fragmentation.
And a total collapse of trust in leadership.
Right. Dr. Alam's argument is that you can't just put a Band-Aid on these things one by one. You actually have to redesign the entire container of human life.
And the container he is proposing is radically different from what you or I are used to. This is where our deep dive gets very specific.
Yeah, let's get into the physical footprint, because we aren't talking about a sprawling metropolis here.
Not at all. We are talking about a very specific, strictly defined patch of land. 150,000 square feet.
150,000 square feet, which, if you think about it, is tiny.
It's roughly 3 acres.
3 acres, that's like 2.5 football fields. And he wants to put a whole town on that.
Well, town might be a misnomer if you are picturing a city hall and a massive shopping mall. Think of it more as a highly structured micro-community.
Okay, a micro-community.
And the proposal is specifically targeting university campuses. He wants to take that 3 acres, which is often just sitting there as dead space on a large North American campus.
Right, just empty lawns.
Exactly. And turn it into a pilot community for 40 families.
So that's roughly, what, 80 to 100 people?
Precisely. And this is a crucial point. He views this entire setup as a living lab.
A living lab, so it's not just a place to sleep.
Right. This isn't just housing. It's an active research station. The idea is that universities are the perfect place to test this because they already have the land, the intellectual resources, and frankly, a population of students and staff who desperately need housing.
Let's talk about that housing, actually, because this part really fascinated me. In a world where building a single condo tower takes 5 years and costs $1 billion.
Dr. Alam is pitching something else entirely.
Yeah, A-frame houses.
Yes, prefabricated A-frame structures.
Why A-frames, though? Is it just an aesthetic choice to look cool on a campus?
It's mostly about speed and cost efficiency. The documents outline that these homes are fully furnished, fireproof, waterproof, and they cost roughly $150,000 or less per unit.
That's incredibly cheap for fully furnished.
But the real kicker is the timeline. He's talking about building the entire town, all 40 units, plus the necessary infrastructure in 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months? That is lightning fast. I mean, in a city like Toronto or Vancouver, you can't even get a permit looked at in 6 months.
And that's exactly the critique embedded in his design. He's arguing that the financialization of housing, where we treat homes like stock portfolios instead of shelter, has completely paralyzed us.
So by using these cheap, fast A-frames, he's making a statement.
He's saying, here is a dignified, safe, fully furnished home. It is a place to live, not an asset for you to flip.
But here is the catch, and this is where I think you, the listener, might pause. Because you can't just walk up with your $150,000 and buy one of these houses.
No, you definitely cannot.
You don't buy in, you enroll.
Yes. That introduces the Department of Happiness concept. The town itself operates as an academic department within the university.
So the residents are actually students?
The residents who are targeted to be master's level students, university faculty, or even retired couples are participants in a semester-long program.
So if I move in, I'm not just a neighbor. I'm a student of living.
In a way, yes. You're there to live your life, but you're also there to learn and to generate data.
Right, the data generation part.
Dr. Alam mentions a 10-year research background that backs all of this up. He wants to prove that if you put people through a very specific curriculum while they live together, you can actually engineer happiness.
Okay, let's unpack that word, curriculum. Usually that means textbooks and exams and sitting in a lecture hall. But in Allen Happy Town, the curriculum is basically your daily life. He calls it the social operating system.
I really love that term, social operating system.
It makes a lot of sense.
Think about a computer. You have the hardware, there's your A-frame house, the 3 acres of land. But without an operating system, that hardware is just a brick. It does absolutely nothing.
Right.
A community is exactly the same. If you just throw 40 families together on 3 acres without a system, you don't get a community. You get chaos or you get total isolation.
The social OS is the software that makes the town run.
Exactly.
And the software has some very specific programs or modules that residents have to run. Let's dig into them because some of these are wild.
They are very comprehensive.
The one that stuck out to me immediately was the DFDS, the Daily Finance Distribution.
This is a huge one. This is central to the economic framework.
When I first read Daily Finance, I thought, what do I get a daily allowance? How does this actually work for the families?
It's an attempt to solve the chronic stress of poverty and inequality. The details in the source material suggest a closed microeconomy within the town. Instead of everyone hoarding their money for a rainy day, which causes massive anxiety, there is a system of daily circulation of income and expenses.
So it's high-frequency money movement.
Exactly. It's all about flow. The goal is to ensure that everyone's daily needs are met through a distributed, shared model.
That really challenges the whole Western idea of every household for itself, doesn't it?
Completely. In this town, the financial floor is raised for everyone every single day. It's designed to eliminate that gnawing fear of, will I make it to the end of the month? Because the timeline is shortened to the day and the community supports the flow.
It sounds almost like a localized universal basic income, but way more dynamic.
It's richer than just a handout. It's a structural change in how money moves through a neighborhood.
Okay, so that module handles the wallet, but then there's the heart, the parental internship module. Now, as a parent myself, I kind of felt attacked reading this.
You shouldn't feel attacked. You should feel validated.
I mean, I guess.
Dr. Allen's point is that parenting is literally the most important job in the world. You are creating the next generation of humans, and yet our society requires zero training for it.
That is so true. You need a license to drive a car, but nothing to raise a child. You just wing it and hope you don't mess them up too badly.
Right, and in Allen Happy Town, you cannot just wing it. The parental internship is a mandatory hands-on module in the curriculum.
What do they actually teach you?
You are trained in the skills of emotional regulation, child development, and conflict resolution. The underlying philosophy is simple. Happy parents raise happy kids.
Makes sense.
You want a happy town 20 years from now? You have to formally train the parents today.
It turns the home into a workshop. I actually really like that concept. But there's another module here that I found really moving, especially given the global context right now. The Peers Immigration Rehabilitation.
Also referred to as the brotherhood model.
Yeah. The terminology they use in the translation is fascinating. They talk about fetching a migrant family.
It's a very visceral word, isn't it? Fetching. It implies an active, deliberate effort.
Right, instead of just waiting around.
Usually, the immigration is a very passive experience for the host country. A family arrives, they struggle to find an apartment, they don't know the language, they feel totally isolated.
And we just kind of watch them struggle.
Dr. Allen proposes that for every local family in the town, there's a built-in responsibility to fetch or basically adopt a migrant family into the fold.
So it's like a buddy system on steroids.
It's biomimicry, really. The sources talk about how animals band together for safety and survival. In this town, a host family takes a migrant family under their wing, literally. They guide them through the social OS we just talked about, they help them rehabilitate, and they integrate them into the daily life of the town.
That would destroy isolation instantly.
Exactly. You aren't alone in a new country. You have a brother family from day one.
That is such a stark contrast to how we do it now in North America, where we just throw newcomers into the deep end and wish them luck.
It's a completely different paradigm.
But okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a minute. We have all these systems now. We have financial distribution, we have mandatory parenting classes, we have mandatory brotherhood fetching. It sounds intense.
It is highly structured.
It sounds like a lot of rules to live by. Who is actually enforcing all this?
This brings us to the administrative framework. And honestly, this is where the proposal is going to make a lot of Western listeners very uncomfortable. It's a system called right democracy.
Right democracy, which implies that what we have now is what? Wrong democracy.
Well, Dr. Alam certainly argues that our current version has deep systemic flaws. He points to populism, the idea of people voting on incredibly complex issues they don't understand, or being swayed by charisma rather than actual competence.
Okay, fair point. So how does right democracy claim to fix that?
It introduces a concept called qualification-based voting.
Okay, hold on. Let's pause right there. Qualification-based voting. Does that mean what I think it means? That my vote might count less than yours if you have a PhD and I don't?
The source material is careful in how it phrases things, but yes, the direct implications is that the weight or the influence of a person's vote is tied to their qualification and administrative experience.
Wow. That's heavy. I mean, in North America, one person, one vote is absolutely sacred.
It is the bedrock of our system.
Mm-hmm.
And this proposal directly challenges that sacred cow. The argument here is that governance is a technical and moral skill.
So it's treating governance like engineering.
Exactly. If you are deciding on the sanitation budget, maybe the vote of a civil engineer should carry more weight than someone who has absolutely no idea how municipal pipes work.
It's a shift from equality of voice to quality of decision.
That's a great way to put it.
I can see the logic, I really can, but man, that is a slippery slope. Who decides who is qualified? That sounds like a recipe for creating an untouchable elite class within the town.
That is the obvious danger, absolutely. But the system tries to balance that risk with two other mechanisms, what they call open candidateship, and an incredibly aggressive de-election mechanism.
De-election. I really like this part when I was reading the notes. It's basically an eject button for politicians.
Yes. Think about our current system. If a politician turns out to be terrible, we are stuck with them for 4 years. We just complain on the internet.
Right. There's nothing we can do until the next cycle.
In the Allen Happy Town model, the voters, the residents of those 40 families, have the authority to immediately recall or de-elect a leader through the exact same process if they fail to perform.
So it's a very high bar to get into leadership, but a very steep, slippery slope to get kicked out.
Exactly. It keeps leadership on a very, very short leash. And remember the scale here. Because the town is small, only 3 acres, 80 to 100 people, this isn't some distant bureaucrat in Washington or Ottawa.
No, this is your literal neighbor in the A-frame next door.
Right. So the feedback loop is instant and personal.
That brings up the whole concept of scale again. The documents talk about authority starting at the grassroots, at the union council level.
Yes, the bottom-up approach.
And they mention that finances are actually managed at this bottom level, too.
This is crucial for the town's autonomy. Usually, we pay our taxes to the state or the federal government. They take a massive cut for bureaucracy. And maybe they send a little bit back down to pave our local street.
If we're lucky.
In this model, the local unit, the union council, is totally independent. They manage their own budget from the ground up.
So they aren't waiting on a grant from the capital?
No, they don't beg the state for funds. It empowers the community to solve its own problems immediately.
Now, there's a phrase in our research notes that I want to drill into for a second. The 90% consensus rule.
Ah, yes.
Now, the documents don't explicitly say there's a law that you must agree 90% of the time, but the whole system seems rigged in a good way. I mean, to produce that level of agreement naturally.
It's the direct result of the social OS working properly. Think about it. If everyone in the town has gone through the exact same parenting internship and they participate in the exact same daily financial distribution model and they live by the exact same brotherhood code.
You have removed 90% of the things people usually fight about.
Exactly. You've aligned everyone's baseline.
So you aren't arguing over whether to build a fence or how to treat a neighbor in need because you've already agreed on the fundamental framework before the problem even arises.
The curriculum aligns the moral and social architecture of the people. So when a tough decision comes up at the Union Council, you aren't starting from scratch with radically different worldviews.
You're starting from a shared reality.
Right. The goal is to reach that 90% consensus naturally because everyone is viewing the problem through the same engineered lens.
It's like persuasion. You solve the conflict before it even happens by educating everyone the same way.
Which is exactly why the living lab aspect is so critical here. They want to see if this actually works in practice.
Right, human nature is messy.
Can you take 40 random families, run them through this 10-year researched OS, and actually get 90% consensus? Or will they still fight bitterly about whose dog barked too loud at midnight?
The dog barking variable is always the hardest thing to engineer out of a society. But let's zoom out for a minute here. Why do this? Why go to all this immense trouble to redesign human civilization on a 3-acre plot on a college campus?
Because Dr. Alam genuinely believes the current civilization phase is ending. He uses very strong, definitive language in his manuscripts. He states that capitalism and westernization are exposed.
He is not mincing words there at all.
No, he isn't. He looks at the current smart city trend. Putting sensors in the trash cans, using AI to control traffic lights, tracking everyone's phone.
Yeah, all the tech utopia stuff.
And he says that is a trap. A smart city is highly efficient, sure, but it's completely cold. It treats humans like data points to be managed.
It optimizes the city infrastructure, but it totally ignores the citizen's soul.
Precisely. The Alam Happy Town is essentially the anti-smart city. It argues that technology should be entirely optional.
Interesting.
You don't need high-tech sensors to be happy. What you need is social cohesion.
You need to know your neighbors.
You need to know that if you get sick, your brotherhood family is going to fetch medicine for you. You need to know your kids are being raised in a supportive environment. The focus has to be on the moral social architecture rather than the digital architecture.
And there's also a deeply spiritual thread running through all of this source material, isn't there? The documents mention doing this for Allah's pleasure and for humanity's overall well-being. It's not just a secular, sterile, academic experiment.
It definitely isn't. But what I find most fascinating is how Dr. Alam bridges that spiritual motivation with very strict scientific rigor.
How so?
He doesn't just want to pray for happiness and hope it happens. He wants to prove it. He wants to generate hard data.
Right, that's the new model part, showing the receipts.
Yes. He wants to be able to walk into a government office and say, look, we implemented the Alam educational framework, we used the daily finance model, and look at the charts. Depression in our town is down 50%.
Crime is at 0.
Income inequality is literally gone.
Yeah.
He wants to turn happiness from a vague philosophical concept into a hard, replicable science.
And he firmly thinks North American universities are the best place to start proving this.
He does. He sees universities as the brains of our society. If you can prove it there, on a 3-acre plot in Canada or the US, under intense academic scrutiny, then you can scale it.
You export the Happy Town model to the rest of the world.
Exactly.
It's incredibly ambitious. And honestly, it really challenges me as I read it. I look out at my own neighborhood and I think, wow, we do not have an operating system at all. We are just running on default settings and hoping for the best.
And default settings usually lead to entropy. Things naturally fall apart over time. This model suggests we need to actively, deliberately build a structure that holds us together.
But I keep coming back to that tension between freedom and structure. If you are listening to this, you're probably feeling that tension too. To live in Alam Happy Town, you really have to give up a lot of personal autonomy.
You do.
You have to take the mandatory classes, you have to participate in the finance sharing, you have to accept that maybe your vote counts less than the neighborhood expert's vote.
That is the ultimate trade-off, isn't it? In the West, we absolutely worship individual freedom. Our motto is basically, don't tell me what to do.
Right. Leave me alone on my property.
But Dr. Alam is asking a very uncomfortable question. Has that extreme freedom actually made us happy? Or has it just made us lonely, stressed, and disconnected?
Oof. That hits close to home.
The core proposition of Alam Happy Town is that compliance, if it's compliance to a system meticulously designed for your well-being, might actually be true freedom.
Freedom from poverty, freedom from isolation, freedom from fear. That is a wildly provocative thought to leave you with today. If guaranteed happiness requires a strict curriculum, a specific qualification-based governance structure, and a pre-planned social contract, is it still really happiness?
Or is it just a really well-designed cage?
Yeah. Or, on the flip side, perhaps it's a garden. A garden has strict fences and rules and trellises, but that structure is exactly what allows the flowers to grow safely.
A garden or a cage. I suppose the only way we will ever truly find out is to let them build the lab. 40 families, 3 acres, and a whole lot of A-frames.
It would certainly be an experiment worth watching. Dr. Syed Aftab Alam's Alam Happy Town, it's a massive amount to chew on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
See you next time.